One of the first times we're starting this Instagram Live. I almost called it a Facebook Live. Instagram Live event. So what the purpose of this is to get more information out there, and we're going to do this in little pieces throughout in order to give you, good, solid chunks of information. So going forward, I want to introduce Caroline, who's there sharing the screen with me. Caroline is the marketing manager for Morales Method, and I know, Caroline, you wanted to bring up a couple of subjects, so go ahead. You've got the floor.
Oh, cool. So today, sort of the topic that was introduced that we're going to be talking about is rates. We had gotten a question from one of our followers about what to do about rates once they start practicing again after the shelter in place is over. There is definitely concern around about, making sure that, since everybody seems to be having such financial hardship right now, how do we sort of accommodate our clients with that and but still, meet our needs in terms of what we're doing. If there's any so if there's any sort of consideration about changing rates when we go back, or how to address that and not just go back and not acknowledge that at all. So Marty actually happened to also send out a newsletter that I read this week to his clients that overlaps sort of perfectly with this topic. So we thought doing a live on this would be a great idea. For those of you that didn't receive the newsletter had a couple of main points, but the subject of the newsletter was life as we know it plus an amazing deal. And then he sort of started by checking in with clients, then sort of updated clients on how he's doing, and then he wrapped up with this sentence in particular, which I thought was a really great way to do this, and had a lot of questions about it actually after I read it. But the sentence was, if you purchase a series soon, I will extend to you an amazing deal. Email me to discuss. So my first question was about that was, why not just offer a deal? And why not give a specific time limit? So there's a lot of, it was very open-ended of an offer, and sort of why was that the approach that you took?
Okay. So yeah, lots of things there. One of the things I want to address really quickly is I am really keeping in touch with my clients a lot and frequently throughout this time. I think it's important for them to hear from you. So if you have a set of clients that all of a sudden you went from seeing them on a weekly basis, regular basis, to not seeing them at all, that's a big shock to everyone's kind of psyche, everyone's system. So I've made it a point to check in with all my clients, and also to check in with some of them personally, because I know some of them are on the older side, and I know some of them really kind of look forward to our sessions together. So I want to check in and make sure that they're doing okay. So that's one thing. So they're getting a lot of newsletters from me, and they actually are writing back and they're telling me specifically, keep them coming. We like hearing from you. We like hearing what's going on. So that's really nice. That's a nice validation of what I'm up to. So getting back to your question, why was it open-ended? Why did I say get back to me soon? Why did I say I have an amazing deal instead of saying I'm gonna charging you XYZ for 10 sessions or something like that? The reason I did it is because there are a lot of unknowns right now. I don't know when I'm going to go, when I'm going to be able to get back to work. And I also have some clients who may be on tiered pricing structures. So some folks that are on the latest pricing structure have different rates. Some who are grandfathered in, who have seen me. I have clients who have been seeing me for 10, 12, 15 years. They are on a different pricing structure. So the reason I then could not give one number is because one size does not fit all for everyone. And what I needed to do then is kind of individualize that discounted rate. And that's what I did. I gave folks some level of discounted rate. And I'll tell you, this one thing I haven't really told you, Caroline, is I had one client who came back to me out of several clients, and I actually had great response from that newsletter. One of the clients who said, I'm actually due for a series already, so let's just do that. I don't need a discount. Let's just, let me purchase another series, which I really appreciated. So overall, that's the long answer to your question. There are a lot of variables in play. So I needed to just basically reach out to my clients and have them come back to me, and then we could figure things out.
Got it. And now I feel like I didn't really hear you say that you made a change to your single rate sessions. It sounds like you are offering a package deal in
Correct,
that.
correct. Correct. There is no change to my single rate session. This was all part of package deals. So, and of course, the purpose of this discount is for me to be able to bring in some revenue right now, because I'm not working, and like a lot of you, I'm here at home, thinking about what to make for lunch, and then washing all the dishes afterwards. So I need a way to be able to bring in revenue in the short term, and that's it. But yeah, no change on the hourly rate, on the single session rate. This was all 10 session packages.
Oh, so only 10 session. Is that you offer other packages though as well?
I do offer a 3 session package, and if someone reaches out to me with, wanting a 3 session package discount, then I will work with them. But right now, it's really the people who have approached me are the ones who usually buy in bulk. So
Got it.
that's what we're doing.
Got it. Got it. So okay, that's awesome. And there's another thing that you mentioned in there as well towards the end of the email, and it was that you were talking about sort of that you're predicting that your schedule will be pretty full when the shelter in place is over, and that you're also intending on extending your hours and opening up extra days as well.
Right, right.
So just curious about why you think that's going to be happening, and then
Right.
also why you're doing that, why you're sort of we're intending on really working hard after this break.
Right, right. So, Caroline, some of you went through the 2008, 2009 crash, doing body work. So you may remember what may have happened there. And I definitely remember it. I went through it as a massage therapist and rolfer. So when I came back from Brazil doing my training at the Rolf Institute, that was the end of 2008, beginning of 2009, and we were in the midst of the crash. And eventually, things started to pick up, and things got busier. And what ended up happening is that a lot of people who were doing massage at that time stopped, moved back home, or did something else, got into another career, something like that. And the number of body workers in the field actually decreased. And what ended up happening is that as things started to pick up, we got busier. So although this is not the 2008, 2009 crash, I see some similarities. Um, there may be some people who may stop working altogether, and those who come back into practice may end up with a large influx of new clients on top of their regular clients. So I anticipate to be busier, to be very busy the rest of the year, after we get through this. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to let people know as well. I'm opening up my schedule to accommodate more people, opening up my days. I'm able to do that. Some people are not able to do that. I fully understand that if they have childcare or other obligations. But I'm going to do that because I'm anticipating that we're going to be busier. All of us, massage therapists, Pilates instructors, yoga teachers, PTs, um, you're going to get busier for the rest of the year after all of this is said and done. The other thing is kind of the personal factor, the touch factor. We have a lot of people that are shelter in place that are used to being touched or used to getting therapeutic touch, and they're probably going a little stir crazy because there's a lack of it. We're social animals, and we respond to this therapeutic touch, to human touch. And once this is all said and done, I think everyone's going to come back. Once the clouds have parted and people have peaked out and things are safer, they're going to come back, and then eventually it's going to come back roaring. I don't know if that necessarily means that revenues are going to come back gangbusters. If we're going to make up for all the losses of all this time, I don't necessarily say that, but I do believe that I, for instance, am going to be busier when all of this is said and done.
Okay. All right. And then another thing we talked about that you mentioned when we were sort of discussing all of this and planning this was that you have a real intention of raising your rate once things do
Yeah.
finally settle down. That's going to be, that's something that I always appreciate that you talk about a lot and encourage all of us to do a lot. But I also am curious to hear sort of your reasoning for that in this time when a lot of us, again, the whole question was about how, it was based off of I'm thinking about decreasing my rate when we come back to make it more affordable. So that feels a little against the grain at this time,
Yes.
but I think at the same time it's a very valid point.
Yes, it does. It does seem like it goes against the grain, and people may think, "What are you talking about, Marty? Now's the time to drop rates instead of raising them." Well, my actions and my behavior as a business person, as a owner, co-owner of this company, um, is really reflective of where I live, and I fully understand that. I am very fortunate. I'll say it. I'm very fortunate to live in San Francisco. It's a beautiful city. We have a lot of amazing things happening in here, and we also have a good population of folks who um, may not be as affected by this as other people. So I understand that my behavior, as far as raising rates after all this is said and done, may go against the grain, like you said, of what people may be thinking. But the reason behind it is, um, again, when all of this is done and people are starting to come back, you're going to need to, in some way, offset this revenue loss. And there will be people who will not be affected by this as other people will be. Some people will be extremely affected by this, and this will be, this pandemic and this shutdown, this lockdown will create enormous economic injury to some folks. But some folks, like some that live here in San Francisco, are not affected by it as much. So my response of raising the rate will be for some that are not as affected by it. If there are people who approach me, for instance, and may say, "I want to see you, but this whole past event has created an extreme economic injury, and we're hoping if you can work with me," then I will treat that on a one-on-one basis, and I will see what's going on and possibly restructure. Um, I will tell you something. I have never had someone who is able to afford my rate say that they don't want to pay that rate. Okay, so that's really important to think about. Now, if a practitioner wants to lower the rates all across the board, that's their decision. They're free to do so. But like I said, my behavior is basically based on the demographic that I'm a part of here in this city. If you're living in another part of the country where you believe that everyone across the board has really, suffered, then it's a different decision. If I lived somewhere else where everyone just, everyone's boat sank, then yeah, then I would rethink how I do it. But just the fact that some people like myself are thinking about raising rate after all of this is said and done, I think should just get you thinking about it. I want you to just think about um, the possibility of it, And if you don't do that, then I also want you to not feel weird or bad about it, So there you go. There's so much emotion, uh, so many thoughts around money, and especially in a time of crisis like this. Um, we do have to take care of ourselves. We also have to take care of our clients. But sometimes we feel bad for wanting to take care of ourselves when, in fact, taking care of ourselves is indirectly a way of taking care of our clients, being able to be there for our clients.
There was another point that you had made yesterday that helped helped me feel a little bit more justified, or just better about the whole idea of raising rates, and that was that you had kind of thought that this is likely going to be something that's happening across the board. That likely restaurants will be doing this, that likely, all of us are going to need to be doing this as a means to sort of catch up from this lost time that we have.
Yes, yes, yes. Thanks for that. Uh, thanks for that. I definitely anticipate that here in San Francisco. After all of this is said and done, restaurants, hairstylists, all of the folks that were caught up in this net, that were in the service industry, are going to need to make up for it. So, make up for these losses. So I do anticipate prices going up all across the board. And if that is the case, if we start to see that, then it's going to be understandable if our prices also go up. So, and again, like I said, I'm just going to reiterate, that doesn't mean that you can't work with someone who suffered extreme economic injury, and you can't work with, it doesn't mean you can't work with them to be flexible on your rate. One thing I do want you to know, though, is as we all come out of this, I want everyone to grab a paper and pencil and find out what is their drop dead bottom minimum rate that they can receive in order to survive, in order to thrive in their geographical location. So, you really have to find that out. And then from there, you can work with that. But you need to know what's the bare minimum that you need in order to live where you're living. Once you find that out, some people are actually pretty surprised and they realize, oh, wow, I do need to charge XYZ in order to live where I'm living.
Right, and then that would also, I assume, you would need to include how many sessions you kind of need to be having per week, or that's not just a flat number. It's you sort of have to figure out both of those concepts, how much you need to be charging, and also how many people you need to be seeing.
Right, right. There are some variables in there, how much you can actually work. Yourself, your body, what you're able to do, and how much you're able to pull in a day or in a week. So, all of those numbers come into play to be able to find your minimum rate. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe we could do another live in the future to find what that number is. Um, but yeah, definitely, it's important.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I think those are all the questions that I have. If anybody that's with us here now happens to have a question, feel free to put it in the comments and we can address it. But otherwise, unless you have any points to wrap up with, that sort of covers the topic for today for in my eyes.
Well, thank you, and thanks for coordinating this. and thank you for everyone who's joined. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you don't want to ask now, you can also ask offline. You can email me, info@moralesmethod.com. So info at moralesmethod.com. Or you can find us here on Instagram or on all other social media platforms. And you can ask, in private if you want. So not a problem, and I can respond accordingly. Um, I just one thing I want to say, basically, repeat what I said earlier, is I want us to all understand, as body workers, Pilates instructors, yoga teachers, physical therapists, I want us to all understand that we have a very valuable part in our community. We are hugely important, and we are a very valuable part of industry. And I want us to realize that. And even though it may be difficult to see sometimes, and maybe we believe that we're kind of cast aside sometimes from regulations or government or what have you, that's fine. But what really matters is what our clients believe and what our clients feel, and those are the folks that kind of validate your work, and those are the ones that are going to need us when we're all back and running. So I want us to realize that, not forget that. This too shall pass, and we will come back online, hopefully sooner rather than later. I saw it happen in 2008, 2009, and I believe this is, another version of it. So I want us to keep hope and be hopeful, and we're gonna get busy after all this is said and done. So just wanted to share that with everyone. Thanks, Caroline, for putting this together.
Yeah, no worries. I'm looking forward to doing some more of them as things just sort of progress through this time.
Yes, absolutely. I do too. I'd love to share what I'm up to, how I'm going to respond to all this, and hopefully it will help you as well.
Great.
So thanks again, folks. Thanks for joining. And again, if you have any questions, you can address them. You can email me, info@moralesmethod.com.